Throughout the entire series, the Mario games have always been seen in similar ways, 2D or 3D, and always from an outsider view. However, what would the games look like if it was set in first person just like a shooter? So you look through the eyes of Mario this time. Well, let's find out. Alright, now you might think, Wily, where in the world did you get this idea from? Well, that's a good question, my Padawan. Every Friday I stream on Twitch, and these past weeks I've been messing around with a game called First Person Super Mario 64. Now, as you could expect, this game was quite difficult. Oh yeah, now I remember how this game handles. My lord. Life has no reason. Yeah, that's... I'm gonna leave this world. Exit course. I think I am on the pole. I was. Whoa. Skill, mate. Oh, I'm dead. By the way, you can find my Twitch link on screen, in the comments and the description right now. Be sure to follow me there. Now, clearly this game was a pain to go through. It was a bit buggy, the controls were terrible, and the camera was by far the worst thing about it. It was made by Nintendo ROM hacker Kaza Amanura. I'm way too European for this. Why can't people have normal, easy to pronounce names? Why? But one thing is sure, the game feels completely different. However, after experiencing this, I started to think about something. Could a fully first-person Mario game be possible? Well, for this we will have to look at the older titles first, to get an idea of the differences the game would need in order to function. For this we first need to make a choice, 2D or 3D. Those are the two main branches of the Super Mario games after all. It started as a flat side-scroller where you went from left to right, jumping over obstacles and defeating enemies. Later on, it went to a 3D open world where Mario could run around and explore looking for various items. One has a sideways view and the other was third person. Now, which of the two would be the best fit? Well, luckily enough, we have examples of both. A YouTube user by the name FredU did something very special with some levels of the very first Mario game. He made an animation where you experience it all from the first person, while Mario goes through the familiar World 1-1. Besides that, some people also remade a part of that game with this new camera angle, so we have a good idea of what it would look like. Now, would this work in any way? Well, yeah. However, there are some small things that need to be changed, otherwise you will run into problems. One thing we can see in this game is that the 2D side-scroller view is still present. It's not the main focus anymore, but it remains on screen. This time around, however, it's more a minimap than the perspective the player needs to use. This is because first person has some drawbacks. You can't really see what's above you, and the depth perception is also a bit weird in this setting. So having the extra sideways view gives you a better understanding of where you are. This is mostly a problem because of the original design of the game. You had to see it from the side after all, and not above you. If they would put the question marks on all sides of the blocks, this problem would be solved partially. So yeah, it could work, but there's no real benefit. The first person element doesn't add anything to the game here. In my opinion, turning the 2D side-scroller format into this is fun, but wouldn't work for a whole game. Now the 3D open world games would actually be a better fit. The game already gives you a lot more options. Sadly enough, the Super Mario 64 first-person mod that I played wasn't a great example of this. And there's one big reason for it. The game's movement wasn't made for it. They just changed the camera angle, and that's kind of it. So when you turn around or adjust your view, it will be extremely jittery and doesn't turn slowly. This is because of the camera modes of the original Super Mario 64. There were some set angles and Mario's movements were quite direct, so small adjustments could be a bit difficult. When you're playing the game in third-person perspective, it's fine. However, first-person requires more precision. However, if we take a console like the Nintendo Switch, with its two crispy analog sticks, and Super Mario Odyssey with its free camera, we start to get somewhere. When it comes to the 3D titles, this one and Sunshine could work with a different perspective, because the controls are good enough for it. So what would a first-person Super Mario title look like? Well, it will probably be a 3D game with a free camera. In terms of setting, almost anything would work. Space, the travel theme, snow, whatever really. No problems here. However, there are two elements in the game that can create some confusion and trouble: the moves and power-ups. When I played the Super Mario 64 first-person mod, I had a lot of trouble figuring out what I was doing. This is because almost all the jumps, punches and other stuff use telegraphing to let you know what's happening. As an example, we will take triple jumps. Here you can see the differences between each of the jumps so you can time the last and highest one perfectly. The same goes for something like a sideways somersault. You need to see what Mario is doing in order to pull off the move correctly. This becomes quite hard when you're looking through Mario's eyes, so they would need to find a new way of informing the player of what they're doing. A game like Mirror's Edge, which is a first-person action-adventure platformer developed by EA, pulled it off. However, it's different in some ways. Its movement is based on real-life parkouring, and everything is telegraphed with the character's hands and feet. So for Nintendo to pull something like this off, they need to go in a similar direction as EA. Now for our other problem, the power-ups. These have a similar solution. They need to add an indicator of sorts on screen so that you know if you're big, small, fire form, or anything else. Otherwise, you will be stuck in a constant state of confusion. A simple thing to tweak, which certainly solves it. But would Nintendo really do this? Is there something that first person offers that third person can do? Well, when keeping the overall theme and ideas of the franchise in mind, then no. Exploration and finding secrets is a big element, but first person only limits this. Your field of view isn't that good, so looking around where a secret could be or where to go next is harder. This goes against the entire concept of the series. First person is better for a more linear game with a set path or realism, so I bet Nintendo wouldn't really go down that road. And you gotta remember, when they went from 2D to 3D in the late 90s, they ran into a lot of problems. Almost everything designed in the previous games had to be changed or completely redesigned. So if they would do another drastic change to the series, it would be a lot of work yet again. Some mechanics, enemies, obstacles and bosses wouldn't function anymore and would be too easy or even unfair. There is nothing to gain from it unless they wanted to try something completely new, because it doesn't really fit with the Super Mario series. Maybe Mario Kart could benefit from it. They're making a VR version after all, which will use first person. So maybe this can be a cool experience. So one day, we might get the weirdest spin-off game in the entire history of the company. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to check out my Twitch that I mentioned before. I also have other social media. I have Twitter, I have Instagram, and my lord, why aren't you following me there? Go check it out. I do lots of fun stuff there. And I hope you enjoyed the video, you lovely human.